My first Dota game was on June 21st, 2013. Since then, I've climbed from 2.6k to 9k MMR primarily playing support. Over the years, I've learned that warding is more than just placing a few observer wards. It's a minigame of strategy, mind games, and trickery. In this video, I'm going to share some of the most crucial warding tips I've picked up over the years, helping you understand where, when, and how to place wards that can lead your team to victory while avoiding the pitfalls of poor vision that can lead to defeat. Protect your wards. This is when you place a ward, play on it, and make sure no enemies come into the area to deward it. If they do, kill them. The point of this is to control an area and deny it from the enemy. This ensures you're fighting in an area you know you have superior vision in. If the enemy tries to come up to deward, you can easily jump and punish them. Let's say your team just took the enemy's offlane tier 2 tower. Instead of backing up, you can set a ward up on the cliff near the tower that leads into their triangle and protect it. And of course, be sure to have the spot dewarded beforehand. Now if the enemy wants to move into their triangle to farm or to check if you warded, you can easily take them out. They should now be especially scared to come into this area even if you're still there or not. The main question is how long should you protect a ward, and that mostly depends on the game. If your team is backing up to farm after taking the enemy's tier 2 tower, you might as well stay near your ward and protect it while farming in this area so you can continue getting farm and XP for yourself and deny the enemy of farm and XP that they'd otherwise get easily. If your team has bigger fish to fry, like Roche, then you don't need to protect your ward for very long. Just remember that protecting your wards is great to secure an area and deny it from the enemy. Importance of sentry wards. I almost always have at least one sentry ward in my inventory. If I'm flying my courier out for something, I'm usually bringing a sentry along with it. Whenever I buy an observer, I'm buying a sentry as well. The reason is that if you're playing in an area, you want to be sure the enemy doesn't have complete vision of you. If they do, they'll find an opening to jump you before you're ready, leading to you losing a fight. Always having a sentry ward on you means even if your team makes a move that you didn't expect, like pushing a tower or doing Roche, you're already ready to deward and secure the area. It's similar to how it's good to keep a smoke in your inventory. You don't want to be in a position where your team wants a smoke and you all have to wait around for it to fly out from the base. That wastes a lot of time. It's the same idea with sentry wards. If you have to wait for one to come from base so you can safely play in an area, you might just miss an opportunity to take a tower or a Roche. Get in the habit of buying sentry wards even if you don't need them in that very moment. Wards are like toilet paper. You don't wait until you need them to buy them. You stock up beforehand so they're ready when you need them most. Teamfight wards. Sometimes the best wards are ones that only live for a short bit, and teamfight wards are the best example of that. In teamfights, one of the most important factors for who will come out on top is the vision each team has. If you can plop down an observer ward to scout the enemy before they're ready, your team can get the jump on crucial targets, giving you the upper hand. Similar to the sentry ward tip, it's best to have at least one observer ward ready in your inventory if your team plans on making a move that might lead to a teamfight. For example, if your team smokes. Sometimes I'll even put off making a smoke play if my team doesn't have an observer ready to place if a fight breaks out. Placing a ward down at the start of a teamfight is one of the best plays you can make in a teamfight. Great spots are cliffs since they can give lots of vision of the area, but even wards on the ground can be great as long as they give good vision of where the enemy is approaching from. And here's a funny meme I found that kind of goes along with this tip, but also this topic in general. Sometimes the best wards are the most basic ones. Here are some quick tips. If you have a hero on your team who's often running around invis, maybe a Nyx, Clinks, Bounty, or even if it's just someone with a Shadow Blade, be careful placing observer wards in the enemy's lanes. It's likely they'll have sentry wards in their lanes to scout these heroes hunting them, meaning they'll get some easy dewards on you. Use shift commands to be less obvious when warding. Using shift to queue up commands to ward, then instantly walk away makes your hero's movement when warding more natural. If you click the ward, click the spot to ward, then click to walk away, it's just not a natural movement a hero would make when walking around normally. This is something I covered a bit in my recent video on tips for dewarding. Make it a habit to use shift commands when warding so you're not so obvious in your movements. Check the lifetime of wards. You can see the remaining life of your wards. Use this time to plan ahead and place replacement wards if you want to keep vision in that area. If you wait to place new wards only after your old ones die, it might make it a lot riskier to move into that part of the map to reward. Doing it while you still have vision up is a lot safer. For example, you can see that your ward is about to die in 2 minutes, and your team is getting a lot of value out of it. Make a move to get another ward down in that area while you can safely. Even if you overlap the timing of the wards a bit, that's not a big deal, as long as you were able to get the ward down without dying and without the enemy knowing. Side note, you can also see the remaining life of an enemy ward if you find it and alt-click this buff on it. This is another tip I shared in my recent dewarding video. This helps to know if the enemy was just in the area or if they've had vision on you for a while. Ward for how the enemy wants to play. If the enemy has some heroes who want to farm their jungle a lot, ward to scout that. If you crush the enemy off lane and you think they'll go farm their triangle to catch up, ward to scout that. If the enemy is playing very aggressively, running around your side of the map a lot, ward to scout that. The point is, if you can recognize how the enemy wants to play or how they're going to play, and you can place wards to scout their map movements, you can make crucial moves to counter them. Maybe that's smoking to their jungle to kill their farming hero, or dodging them as they move around your side of the map looking for pickoffs. One of the many beauties of Dota is that no two games are the same. This naturally means that each match needs its own specific type of wards depending on the situation. If you start to recognize these patterns for how the game is being played out, you can ward to have the upper hand in vision and in the game in general. Ward during map movements. One of the best times to get good deep wards down is when you make natural movements through the map. This makes it less obvious to the enemy and easier for you to safely get the vision down. Let's say your team decides to smoke and look for a pickoff. This is a perfect time to get wards down compared to you running into the enemy jungle alone and warding. That approach is much more obvious to the enemy. Another example is if you just want a team fight. Make a little detour away from your team to get a deep ward down. Warding in moments like these are way easier and honestly just feel way better than making movements that are solely for warding. And a side note that I figure people might wonder about is smoking yourself to ward. This approach can be good, but I'd usually advise against this, especially at higher ranks. What would be more impactful is waiting until you can smoke with an ally or two to make an actual rotation on the enemy. And while you make that movement, go get a good ward down. Clumping tasks like this together allows you to play quicker and get more done as well, which is often how you can keep the momentum and pressure up on the enemy to win games. Hold on to wards against hard matchups. Sometimes the state of the game makes it hard to ward. Maybe the enemy has good dewarding heroes like Slark or Zeus, and they have superior map control. Maybe they even have a gem. In these situations, it's often really hard to keep wards up on the map. If you're in a position like this, keep buying wards and hold on to them until you're in a better position. Once you are, you'll have a lot of wards to play with. Also, in hard situations like these, it's still valuable to have wards ready in case you need one for a team fight. The point is, if your wards are just dying right away all the time, consider holding on to them until your team is in a better position. And always remember that teamfight wards are POG. The last tip I have is to go practice ward spots in a private lobby. I've spent many hours looking around the map for cool spots that I don't see often or at all. I personally find this extremely fun and is the main reason I love map changes so much. If you have a favorite warding tip, be sure to let all of us know so we can all grow and become better players. Thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon. Special shout out to the GOATs, Umut, Tilted Ward, the Titan Forge, Mark, Aaron, Ole, and Jay for supporting me and my content. And thank you to free members. Check out my streams on Twitch, say hi, and play some sounds in chat. I love seeing when people come by from these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.